This is Aaron Levine, LG Insurance Agency, here on another episode of the Money Isn't podcast. No, it's really the Who You Work With Matters podcast with my friend John Smallwood from the Money Isn't podcast and Smallwood Capital of Red Bank, New Jersey. Happy to have you here.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about our conversation today.
We're gonna work on releasing both episodes, hopefully in sequence, because a couple weeks ago I got to join you in your studio in one of your buildings on Broad Street in Red Bank and had an amazing conversation. One of the bits of information you put out there for me, we were talking about finance and insurance and all that stuff, and we're going to talk a little bit about there. And the conversation was you said, if you have $5 million in assets and you own a $5 million piece of real estate, do you really want to use that $5 million in assets to pay to build the new building if the old one burns down? So you had 10, now you're only going to have 5. I've used that 6 times. So at this point I own it.
Are you closing extra business as a result of it?
That makes sense. No, people are still dumb.
But when people get it, they're like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Now I'm going to take $1,000 and go insure something for $5 million, and it's like, oh wow, I just transferred risk. There's no loss.
Transferred the risk. It was
I'll take that
simple.
Small opportunity cost.
Right? Why take a $5 million risk when you can transfer it for a couple $1,000 a year?
Yeah. Purpose of insurance.
It makes it so simple, but that concept is stuck with me. It's so simple. You have 10 million today. If one burns down, you only have 5. How do you protect that?
How do you protect it?
It's a super simple thing about property insurance, but you have that same conversation with people about life insurance as well to protect their assets on the long term, right?
Yeah. So, and their most important asset is their ability to get up and earn.
Okay.
The most underutilized thing is disability insurance. People you make $500,000 per year, but if you can't go to work tomorrow because you're disabled for whatever reason, what happens to your $500,000?
I always tell everybody I'm more expensive disabled than I am dead.
Far more. When we were building the wealth curve, I had literally sketched it out on a whiteboard to one of my clients, and she worked for a law firm, but her job was when somebody got run over by a bus, she did the life care that person was going to need over the next 35 years of their life expectancy and all the future projection costs. So in the law, in a disability, it's not the same expenses.
Right.
It's completely different expenses, and everything else in the plan, all the savings rates and all the things collapse overnight, and future accrued benefits in a pension or Social Security never occur. Right? So the most valuable asset in the building is your ability to get up and earn income and create the points on your balance sheet.
I love having other people be able to sell insurance for me. It's amazing.
It's my favorite thing.
Your favorite thing is helping people understand, the risk and how easy it is to transfer that risk and protect yourself from that unknown.
Yeah.
Right? Before we worry about earning and creating more wealth, protect what you have, right? Set that baseline is what I'm getting. So talk a little bit about, how you set yourself up, right? How is Smallwood Capital set up? What's your purpose?
Yeah, so we've been doing this. I've personally been doing it for, I think it's almost 36 years now. 1989, okay? And the purpose of the firm is to look at the macro view of the client. Most financial services, they're looking, you got $100,000 to invest, here's my hammer, go invest it, okay? Our purpose is, let's look at the income, the expenses, the savings rates, the liabilities, the future liabilities, the defense, such as the insurance, the umbrellas, the wills and the trust, the ownership arrangements, and get a snapshot of where you are and go, okay, now that 100,000, we can put it in context and say, you actually should not invest that 100,000, which is it's not something that an investment manager normally does, because we make money when we invest money, right? So but hey, you want to invest 100, but you got 100 at Visa or MasterCard at 18 or 20%. I don't really care what I make on the 100. It's going to be really hard to overcome that, right? We'd be much better off paying off debt and now taking the monthly money and putting it back, right? But the purpose is to plan with good information. And once you have really, really good information, now make strategic recommendations designed to reduce taxes, to reduce risk, to reduce fees, not only today, but as you accumulate wealth. Most people are compounding wealth, which is compounding taxes and compounding fees and compounding risk, right? Risk is actually getting larger and larger where it should be staying the same. With the ultimate purpose is, if we're looking at all aspects of the wealth plan, we find leaks, let's plug the leaks, let's push that money back into savings, let's put more protection around that wealth. So when you actually get to the point where you're gonna retire, you now have more retirement income and you can pass more to your family. And most people have less retirement income and they pass less to their families because they didn't plan right. So our passion is not about, implementing something in the client's plan. It's creating a full, broad plan that has multiple things coming together, bringing multiple professionals together so that you achieve the financial success that you actually want. And when you walk in my office, you have a vision because it's colored by what you have. My job is to open the blinders up and to get you to think more strategically. And, I'm targeting to get to 10 million. Well, what if you get to 100?
Right.
Like, what if, because you're not thinking right? Well, wouldn't you want to go there, right? And when you open up a door, you see things differently and opportunities open up, and it's like we keep expanding, right? So our philosophy is, if you're my client, I want to do at least a 1-year plan every year for the next 35 years. Because the plan is going to evolve. Some clients need it every 6 months because they're doing one of these, right? Exponentially. So our passion is about your future. How do I understand your future and help you achieve that future by connecting you and doing the right things?
So how do you get that message out, right? So
very hard.
What's that?
It's very hard.
Very hard. YouTube, right? The podcast.
Yeah.
Everything that you do. So I'm 45 years old.
Yep.
I have a modest plan, if I'm being halfway honest.
Everybody has a plan. Right. The question is it a good plan?
Is it a good plan, right? But how do you get to it? And when is the right time to start, right? The right time to start is always now, right?
Yesterday.
If you didn't start yesterday, start today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Is always the answer. But everyone's like, oh, I don't make enough money. I don't have enough assets. I'm not investing enough. I'm not big enough. And by the way, I was just away at a conference, and we had a Zoom call recap with everybody that attended. There was people there for their first time. There was people like me that have been there for many, many years. And everybody thinks the next person is more successful. It's I'm not good enough. I'm not like him. I'm not doing what they're doing. And we all say that, about each other in the room. And there's some people, everybody's on a different level, but we're all there to learn and grow and do things, right? So it's like knowing when to start is just to do it, to take action for yourself, I think is the most important thing, right? Just to start this conversation with you or with another qualified professional that thinks in a similar fashion to you, but it's getting that message to people to say, hey, it's never too early to start learning and growing and building yourself that plan, right?
Yeah, because, you have, in essence, mental programming. Okay? The mental programming is basically saying, I don't have enough.
Right.
I don't have enough money to invest. I don't have time. All these things that we're putting on us that restrict us, right? And typically it comes from something outside that, as a kid, whatever it is, right? There's something that is programming that thinking pattern, right? And what's really key is the blueprinting process, our wealth curve blueprinting process. If you put everything down on paper, you're either going to be sick about it, or you're going to be like, oh, that's not as bad. But what we're doing is we're basically saying, here's where you are. And with a small tweak and a small tweak here, we fix this problem first, then we go build wealth. And now you have a vision to go after something better. And like people have said this to us, and they come to us and it's like, this is the only place that I can talk about money. Because I can't go home and say, hey, I made $1 million to my brother-in-law who makes 50,000.
Right.
Right? There's no place, there's no safe
Right.
zone, right? So, and a lot of times people will say, I want to make $1 million a year or $2 million a year or $100 million a year. And whoever they're telling is like, they don't believe it because they don't believe in themselves. So it's like infusing this these ridiculous thoughts. And it's like, we're the space to hear, well, tell me how you're going to do it.
Sure.
Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me how you're going to get there. And it's the first spot where you can freely discuss what your fears, what your goals are, what your dreams are. And it's like, now that we know what you want to do, I call it like, I've been thinking about this a lot and saying, you know, I'm a certified financial planner. So I have a designation, and it's called a CFP designation, right? I've had that since 1993.
Okay.
So I'm certified. I took a fiduciary responsibility in 1993 before fiduciary was anything that you would talk about, okay? We're a registered investment advisor, we're a fiduciary. We act in client's best thing, right? But planning is like this narrow vision, right? And planning is like, well, my kid's gonna go to college. College costs $85,000 today to send your kid to Bucknell or wherever the hell it is, right? I have $20,000 in the bank. How much do I need? It's 17 years to school. That's planning, and that like you don't need anybody to do that, right? That's just simple, stupid math, right? But it's like, well,
but sometimes we need somebody to tell us to do that, right, on the smallest level.
but like, how do you want it to happen? So it becomes financial design as opposed to planning, because there's many more ways than a 529 to educate your kids.
Right.
There's rental properties, there's life insurance, there's cash accounts, there's brokerage accounts, there's uniform gift to minors accounts. There is, my dad used to joke, we're gonna do the franchise method, right? Instead of dropping $300,000 in your college education, we're gonna buy a franchise.
Right.
And you're gonna go work the franchise and use the income from the franchise to pay for school. Now you got an asset. You know, we spent $300,000 at the end of, school, and my daughter's entering her senior year. There's a lot of alcohol that was wasted in there. Like, there's a lot of time.
That's a write-off.
Right? If you were more like engaged with a business that you had to go run, there's less time for alcohol and more time for learning. I'm joking about that alcohol, actually not. But you know what I'm saying? But it's like, how do you think differently?
Right.
Like, we get so pigeonholed in, well, you have 2 kids and you want to send them to college. Here's a 529 off the shelf, and you need to fill it with $25,000 a year. And then here's another need. You need to do this, and then you need to save for retirement. But I only have a finite amount of money. So our philosophy is, you got to use $1 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
Right? You got to have money in motion. It's got to hit multiple products at the same time. It's just not one thing. Right? It's multiple things coming together. So the passion is like, how do you unleash the potential of the individual that you're talking about? How do you get them to be more confident in what they do? And how do you get them to be more accountable?
Right.
Because I'm 57 years old. The last 35, 36 years has gone like that, right? I still feel like I'm 25. 26 on a good day. Maybe 22. But it went so quickly. But it's like, okay, what's the next 35 years? And a lot of people in my age group are like, oh, I'm getting ready to retire. I'm getting ready to mail it in. And I'm like, I'm just getting started. I'm actually the best I've ever been. Right? So it's like, I want to jump on your future with you and be part of your future.
So what gives you that energy? Where do you get that from? Having your family in the business? Does that give you energy? Does working with new clients, past clients, seeing the successes of your clients, where does that energy come from?
The relationship, and seeing, it could be a relationship with the family, but the relationship with the end user, with the client.
Right.
Seeing the client achieve stuff, and then something happens, and I'm like, oh, we've got this to protect against it, or we have this redundancy or this backup, and they're like, oh shit. Like, we had a client years ago I think it was the banking crisis of 08, 09. I think that's the right time frame. It might be before that. She had a significant credit line for her business that she lost her number 1 client. And the bank at the same time called the credit line for $1 million. We had a plan and a contingency in place to access capital without costs and without fees to help her do that.
Right.
She got her business back on track.
Sure.
And then the banks came back and she said, no, thank you. I don't need you guys. All right. You weren't here for me when
That's the greatest when you get to do that.
Right. But it's like she survived because we had a plan in place. And we hoped we were never going to use it.
Right.
It was just going to be part of her retirement.
So you become a powerful who, right? As we're talking about the Who You Work With Matters podcast, in a lot of different people's,
who you work with is probably the most important thing, because we were talking about everybody's got a plan.
Right.
Well, whose plan is it? And who are you following?
Right.
Is it somebody that was really not successful and you're following their plan? Like,
it's somebody it's a YouTube plan, by the way, and we get all of our financial advice from YouTube and social media.
I'm on YouTube. I got 10,000 subscribers.
The Money Isn't podcast.
But there's a lot of really bad information out there. I cringe when I watch some of the things and clients will send it to me. This guy's talking about this thing and you should get all your money out of this thing. And I'm like, there's 7 errors in what he's saying. He's wrong. He's got the tax law wrong.
Right.
But it's got 100,000 views, so it's valid. Right?
So it's funny. There's something I read this morning, it was real. Alex Hormozy.
Yeah, he's great. I love Alex.
And his stuff he's very blunt.
Let's mention him 5 or 6 times.
To the point, right? So
Alex Hormozy?
When Alex Hormozy this morning said that stop spending 100 hours a week trying to make $1,000 of passive income when you can wake up and go make $10,000.
Correct.
Right? Wake up and go to work. He's like, rich people with passive income don't get passive income because they tried to get passive income.
Correct.
It comes by generating significant wealth and using your wealth to generate passive income. It's everybody we want to follow the social media trends. How do we get rich quick, right? We all want to do it. We all want to become influencers and get paid by YouTube and Instagram to create more content. But there's a long road to doing that.
With 10,000 subscribers, I think we made $35 last month, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't cover your electric bill for your studio now.
No,
but
the chair.
But that's an exciting check to get, by the way.
It is.
That had to be like,
wow.
I finally made it, right?
That's it though. Can't really do much with it. But like what Alex is talking about, right, is such a problem in wealth management and financial planning or wealth design or whatever you want to call it, because people are like, oh, I hate what it is that I do.
Right.
I just got to get out of here and I want to go get some rental income and have some passive income. And I'm like, that's going to be a long road to get there.
Sure.
They exit this because they hate this. Now they're free and they're sitting home and they're like, I don't know what to do. I don't have any hobbies. I don't have enough money to go do my things that I even think that I want to do. What was I thinking? And now they want to jump back in. They're out. They're not as marketable.
Right.
And all the time, if they're a business owner or part of if they're really valuable in an organization, what if you could figure out a way to get rid of everything that you don't like, give it to a who that loves it, so that you just work on what you love doing?
Right.
Now you're free and all the problems of the business are now gone. And a who, from Dan Sullivan's perspective and Ben Hardy, right, is batteries included.
Okay.
Meaning, if I'm going to hire somebody to fill that role,
right,
I don't need a training program. I don't need to make up all kinds of ways to micromanage them. The who shows up and goes, I know how to do that. Let's go do it. And now you just made my life perfectly easy because you already knew how to do it.
Right.
It's not the how, it's the who.
Right.
Who, not how.
So Who Not How, right? And Who You Work With Matters podcast, it's not a direct bite off of the who's from Dan Sullivan, Ben Hardy.
No.
But I always use the hashtag Who You Work With Matters more for like, as a good referral partner, LG Insurance Agency is a good who that realtors and bankers and lenders and everybody can rely on, advisors for insurance needs, right? That was the original premise of the Who You Work With Matters hashtag.
Yeah.
And then after reading, the Dan Sullivan books, Who Not How, Gap in the Gain, 10X is Easier Than 2X, I kind of said like, let's get out of the insurance podcast business because we can still talk about plenty of insurance and get more into the people business. What can I share? What can I give? I can give a lot of insurance content, but I feel like I can give so much more by sharing the need for so many great who's in our lives. Now, you've gone to a whole nother level with Dan Sullivan. You were a part of Strategic Coach, or you still are a part of Strategic Coach. Talk about that experience a little bit.
I was 28 years old.
Okay.
And Dan somebody handed me what was called a cassette tape. You may not remember that. You guys don't know anything about
My
that,
lifetime.
right? A little thing, and it was a cassette tape that he did a presentation at one of the industry platforms. And it was about, you begin with free time, and then, free time is to rejuvenate. And he's talking about delegating and doing, and I'm listening to this tape and I'm like, oh my God. And I remember walking around the block with my newborn son, who's 29, that just had a kid, right? And it's like, I said to my wife, who had just stopped teaching, so we lost the income, picked up the health insurance expense that we didn't have, and it was all those things. I'm like, I got to go to this Strategic Coach thing. And it was a big investment. It was like a $5,000 investment back in the day. And this is like, what year was he born? 96. And she's like, yeah, you don't need it. You're going to be fine. I'm like, no, I really want to go. And I go, and I realize that if I'm the guy, if I'm Bugs Bunny and I'm playing all the bases, right? You've seen that analogy where he's playing every position on the baseball field, right? And he's running around like a madman. How can you actually, because you could never run at the speed that Bugs Bunny runs, right? Now, AI, maybe you can clone yourself and do that stuff, right? But the reality is, I need subject matter experts. I need teams. I need better resources. And when you got in there, he was fabulous at opening that vision up of what you really want to do. And the reality is, it's a thinking thing. It helps you think strategically, and you've got 15, 20, 30, 40 people in the same room in different industries, and you're collaborating on what works and what doesn't work, and you get really fabulous ideas out of it, right? So as he evolved, he kept exponentially jumping up his offerings, and he came out with something. I had taken a gap year about 17 years into it, or 15 years into it, right? And around 2015, whatever the time frame was. And I was like, there was something about forcing you to go every quarter, right? You get prepared, you take it seriously, you're out of the office. One of his famous comments that sticks in my brain is, if your cell phone rings, which is down here, I'm reaching to it, right? It's like unpredictable cash flow. You have to be able to turn your cell phone off because you're not waiting for a phone call, right? Like, you're here and you're present. You're present within the podcast that you're talking to, right? You're present in the event. I was like, oh, wow. And it kept forcing me to become better. With the 10X thing that he came out with, is the focus was, how do you take the business and go 10X? And his mindset and his thinking was that if you set a goal to go 2X versus 10X, it's relatively easy to double. The person who goes 10X is a completely different person. The business is a different organization, which forces you to think out of your current box, right? And it's that force that says, if I can get myself into that thinking, what is the things that I need to do? And there's a thing called strategic byproducts, that I do something, there's feedback, positive or negative feedback, right? What is it that I now do, and how do I react to it? And how do I take the byproducts that are good and leverage it? So he became really good at it. And, I've been with him. This year I did not do it because of 3 travel plans that I just knew I couldn't make up the classes. So I'm going to go back in for next year, because the organization and the group is a fabulous group of people. And there are business owners in there that we've seen literally come in, get an idea, and, transform their businesses overnight. Literally transform their business overnight. Go from $1 million to $100 million overnight. Like, I've seen it happen. But some companies don't. Some companies go on the slow growth. And I believe growth is not a linear 8% per quarter type thing. Growth is non-linear, which means you change a couple things, the business could be substantially greater, very, very quickly.
I mean, that conversation is exciting, right? So being able to think differently and be with people, right? But you said, where's your cell phone? My watch, my phone, everything is disconnected, right? So I can be present in this moment. If it was buzzing on the table next to me right now, I'd have the shakes.
Yeah.
If I could see it, I'd be shaking right now, just curious as to what's more important
It's
than
lighting
this
up.
conversation.
It's lighting up. It's lighting up. Oh, it's a
Friend of mine
spam call.
did that,
It's a spam call. It's a spam call.
A friend of mine had the light going on his. He had a phone down.
Oh, yeah.
And we're listening to a panel, and the light starts going. He's like, "What, are you gonna have a seizure?" I'm like, "No, but you're fucking annoying."
Yeah. Your
Trying
phone.
to pay attention, and now I want to know who's texting you. It's not even my phone. I don't really care, but it just became
Or you pick your phone up
funny
in the
piece
middle of the
it.
day because you have to do a security factor authentication, and then you see a text, and that text takes you down a road,
Go
and
down a
that's
hole.
that's the distraction, right? So like Dan's philosophy, and this is what's really interesting,
Right.
is he talks about Frank Sinatra,
Okay.
right? He talks about front stage and backstage. So if we're going to put on a show tonight and Frank Sinatra would be, imagine for a second that Frank Sinatra is going to be the performer.
Mm-hmm.
Frank is not moving the pianos. He's not putting the rug below it. He's not doing the lighting. He's not doing
Right.
the sound. He walks in, does a sound check, goes and eats his dinner, comes back, performs. He doesn't break down the sets. He doesn't do anything. He just goes home.
But at what point, right? There's a point in business where we do everything, right?
Because we believe we have to.
Okay. 15 years ago when I started my business with no money, no clients, no contracts with insurance companies, right? I had to do it all by myself. And slowly but surely, I was able to add people to support the business, learn and grow, and continue to add who's into the organization, right? Adding who's from day one when I'm 27 years old without a penny in my pocket, a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite moments, and I don't know the exact moment of it, was when I had enough trust to let the teams do what they need to do without having to worry about micromanaging or anything else.
What caused that?
That's a good question. I don't know what caused that, right? But I know it was something I was working on for a long time, right? We had building processes, getting the right procedures in place, making sure we're documenting appropriately. And as long as everybody's showing up and doing what they need to do, I was able to one day release.
Yeah.
It allows me to be here and be free and have these conversations and work on the growth portion of the business.
One of my greatest aha moments is I was in a moment of scarcity. I was having a bad quarter. I was having something. And I ended up doing 4 meetings came out of nowhere that were really big meetings.
Right.
And I took the meetings. I had phenomenal results, and I was going away.
Right.
And I was really nervous to go away because I really didn't trust the person, because of the previous person that was in the role. The person was relatively new. And I'm like, I got to go.
Right.
And here's what we said that we're going to do. And my notes were cryptic and the whole thing. And I came back from the trip, and I was not able to, I didn't make a phone call. I didn't call back. Everything was done. Everything that we needed to implement, the applications for the products, everything was in motion. And I was like, oh, I just saved myself. I need another person now.
You empowered a who, and they fulfilled that requirement, right? They were not going to let you down.
Not going to let me down. And when you surround yourself with that core team,
right,
that core production team that supports the aftermath of what you do in your business, every business is in the essence of sales, whether you're a restaurant or, you're selling food, right? So the waiter takes the order. If that order doesn't go to the kitchen properly, the food's not going to come out properly, right? So all systems all need to go perfectly here. But, the food itself sells the restaurant, but you could have the best food in the world. If you don't have the right marketing, people aren't going to show up. Everything is orchestrated, everything is a team. But when you're working in what's called your unique ability, which is what is it that you do? What are the 3 things that you do for the business that actually makes it money? And people get very granular, well, when you process an application for car insurance, that's making money. No. That's not how you make
Making
money.
the phone ring is how I make
That's a
money.
result of the connection. The application is a necessary thing to get to the end thing, but there's no money being made in the application for you.
Right.
It's already sold.
Right.
Right? So when you understand that distinction, like the restaurant owner doesn't take the order, then go chop the meat and cook it and then go serve it. Like you can only do a certain amount of meals in a night, right? So it's like you really want to think about how your business scales and that the fear, he talks about confidence and clarity, and he talks about, you don't have confidence with that first hire. You don't have confidence to actually say, can I afford $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year? And I'm thinking of $50,000 or $60,000 a year, and it's $5,000 a month, right? And then you start thinking about it, like, if I can't afford it, am I really a business, right? But if I think about it, how much time did I spend last week in application process? If I took that same time and either went home and enjoyed my family, or went to networking events, or got on the phone and made calls, visited my existing clients, took them out to lunch, did the dinner, I do a lot more business. Now you're like, well, how many times can I do that? And then I've got so many leads coming in. Now can I get another person to actually do sales the way I do sales? Now you can exponentially jump. But until you have that infrastructure, you're stuck in the ones and twosies.
Right.
Like you always see these great attorneys and they've got like 4 people and that's it. And like they're stuck at $1.6 million of gross or $1.5 million of gross. And it's like, you could be a $10 million lawyer with all your contacts. Like, it's a lot of work. I'm like, no, I don't think it's a lot of work. I think you got all the contacts.
You have all the contacts. Right? It's about having the right who's in there to support you. So let's talk about this gift you gave me when you walked in the door, when Jen gave this to me. You wrote this book. When did you write this?
I wrote it technically in 2019 and 2020. We released it right in the first 4 months of the pandemic.
Okay. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. We all thought. Despite getting Amazon bestseller, #1 in retirement planning, #2 in wealth management.
Okay.
If you remember in the pandemic, what was the most popular thing that came out of the pandemic? Streaming services. Everybody stopped reading. They were binge watching all kinds of things. So books did not do as well during that time frame. The book did extremely well for us because this I wanted to put something out that documented me and my journey up into this point. So It's Your Wealth, Keep It is version 1.0. Okay. But it talks about my father and I, who were business partners, how we grew, what our struggles were. It talked about the stupidity of financial planning. It talked about, savings rates. It talked about things that you don't talk about in wealth management, right? And my job was to make things simple, easy to understand, but I wanted the book to be something that I was proud of eternally.
Okay.
Right? We wrote it with a company called Advantage Media. They're out of Charleston. They published it. They did a really good job of putting it together. People would get the book and they'd be like, you actually wrote this. And I'm like, yeah, I actually wrote it, because they feel like I'm sitting in a room talking to you.
That's awesome.
So we wrote it in that very, as first person style. Like this is meant, like I'll literally send clients home. I'm like, read chapter 6. It's called The Beautiful Balance.
Sure.
And it is the package of everything that we're discussing. Or read chapter 3, which is about savings rate. You're #1 in that book, which is not the best one. Okay. And they're like, what? I'm like, read it and talk to me next week.
That's great. I can't wait to read it. Looking forward to it. What do we miss? We talked about so much, and what else can we share? Tell me a little bit more about the podcast, right? I was on your show. I can't wait to release it. What inspired you to start the Money Isn't podcast?
I had started a podcast 3 or 4 times. We had 3 different, versions of it. We had Wealth Curve Talk. We had a lot of different things, but I look at podcasting as a medium to get your ideas out. I look at it as something where you get to sit on your couch, watch it on YouTube, listen to it on iTunes, wherever you consume podcasting, right? But you get to hear us. You get to get, and my job is to give value, as much value in the conversation as I possibly can without anything back, right?
Right.
And the goal is to reinforce complex problems back to my existing clientele, right? Number one goal, right? Because what happens is when you make a plan, you literally go back to your normal everyday life.
Okay.
And this plan design that you did is now getting undermined by your friends and your family and your things. So we got to keep bringing you back to
the papers go on top of the plan.
Right, and you forget why you're doing stuff, and you forget why you do this, and you're like, oh, the bill comes in, I don't have money right now, I don't want to pay it, I don't feel good about that. The job of the podcast is to reinforce really complex ideas and make them very, very simple, right? To distill it down to simplicity. But it's also like the book, you're a business owner. We are successful in business the more we expand our reach, right?
Sure.
And with our existing reach that we have through our networks and our communities, there's a finite amount of people. The beautiful thing of podcasting, it's worldwide.
Right.
You get to reach people everywhere, and people get to consume your content, and they can go change their lives without ever talking to us, because we're actually giving away the information, which was the greatest thing about Dan Sullivan. If you listen to that initial tape that he put out, cassette tape.
Is it on YouTube somewhere?
100%. And he always does it, all of his things. He's talking about free days, focus days, right? Buffer days, talking about delegation. He's giving it away.
Right.
That is there. The content is there. The contents are in the book. Like, you can literally do, but what people don't do is they don't execute. Because they have what I like to call shiny object syndrome.
I'll give away all my secrets. I don't hide anything. I have nothing to hide, right? Because again, you said the word execute. People aren't going to execute and follow through with things. But, I do the podcast because I love to connect and learn and grow my community, my network, and build relationships with experts like yourself, right? I have people to rely on. I have so many who's in my community. As we get close to, approaching 100 episodes, I feel like I have to throw a party for that.
That's impressive.
We
should have a party. We should have a party. Well, what are we at? Yeah.
Whatever it is,
it's got to be 55 or 60 in the last year, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's something to celebrate, right? And I tell anybody that wants to start a podcast, make sure you get to 50. Don't stop. Because everybody looks at the data after the first 2 episodes and they quit.
And there are moments where you're investing your time, your energy into it, and you're like, is it really worth it? And then you get amazing feedback, or you get this opportunity that you would have never received. And what we're finding is, I get a referral to you. You don't really know me, but Bob knows me well. And you're like, I already got a guy. I don't want to do it. And here comes a podcast served up to you about something that is relevant to you. And you're like, oh, that's interesting.
So there's a phrase in business, right? We do business with people we know, like, and trust.
Correct.
Right? Take that around, and it's now we do business with people we like, know, and trust. We now like them. We like people first because we get to meet them through social media, right? So you're liking somebody before you get to know them and then trust them to do business with them, right? So this medium of being able to put podcast out there and sharing our story and sharing our conversation helps people get to know us, helps people like us, and then potentially want to know us and then trust us to do business.
Yeah, I mean, it's, Jen and I talk about marketing all the time. She's the director of my marketing program, and I love marketing, right?
Sure.
I love the idea of when you see a business go from 0 to 100, like overnight. Like, what was it? What happened? How did that podcast blow up? How did that video blow up? How did that become viral, right? Like, that's really intriguing to me.
Not talking about insurance.
No, but like, there are insurance videos that have hundreds of thousands of views on it, millions of views, right? We did one with a veteran attorney that's pushing 60,000 views.
That's amazing.
On how to get people their VA benefits, right? That podcast has literally changed people's lives.
Okay.
The attorney, for a fact, has received a tremendous amount of inquiries for help, and he's helping people file back claims to the tunes of hundreds of thousands of dollars of reclaimed money that they should have had that they didn't have.
That's awesome.
That they were stuck, right? Millions at this point, I think, right? I haven't talked to him. I have to talk to him. But it is like, what is it that you want, right? The podcast allows you to explain it. Like, what made Mr. Beast so successful? Do you ever follow Mr. Beast?
I haven't read his book yet. I don't know if he probably has a book.
I'm not reading his book. I'm going to watch his YouTube shit.
Gonna watch his YouTube shows.
But like, you know,
he made a connection.
He was like 16.
Right.
And he puts out this video about the frailty, this, and here's what I want to achieve in my life. And I want to have 1 million subscribers, and I want to have this. And that video went viral.
Right.
Because he was so innocent, and he was so to the heart about what he wanted to do. And then he was like, oh, let me do another one, and do another one, and do another one. And all of a sudden, you've got the Mr. Beast channel. Like that, like how many of those videos are out there that haven't been discovered?
Right.
Right? How many little kids are sitting in their basement going, I want to do this. Like, I want to be a sports star. I want to play golf. I mean, think about the amount of information that you can learn. And I think the beautiful thing of podcasting and the way media and, you know, consumption of TV is shifting is like, let me go design what I want to watch. And I go to YouTube and I can watch whatever the heck I want, as opposed to the funneled Thursday night, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock on, you know, XYZ, you know, traditional TV, and I'm pigeonholed into it.
Used to love a little TGIF.
Oh, yeah, we used to go watch Miami Vice Friday nights down in my buddy's basement in the late 80s. His parents would buy us beer and we'd drink in the basement, right, and watch Miami Vice. I love Miami Vice, right? But like, it is like, you get to design what you want, and you're either designing a life that you really want or you're designing a life that you don't want. Either way, you are in control.
Right.
That's what I want people to know, is you are in control of your financial outcome. You're in control of how you feel. You're in control of your body. You are in control of everything that you have. You just have to design it.
John Smallwood, that was a mic drop moment, and we're going to cut it with that. Thank you so much for joining me today.
I could go on forever.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
This was great. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.